impress everybody. He was his coach for a year. He took him for a trial to Barcelona. Once he was there, he was fighting for his treatment to be sorted, a hormone treatment. He was the guy that took the first photo of the first night of Leo Messi in a hotel in Barcelona. And then at 13, when he was injured and because of bureaucracy, he couldn't play much, Leo Messi at Barcelona, having stayed. Basically, Jorge asked, what do you want to do? And by Leo saying, I want to stay in Barcelona, that meant that Jorge Messi had to separate basically geographically with his wife, and his wife took the rest of the kids back to Rosario. Since then, again, every day together, they've spoken every day. So that has been finally one thing that has opened up Leo Messi in such an emotional way that I don't think anybody's heard him talk that way, but it's only normal because, as I said, Jorge was not just a dad, he was an assistant, a friend, and an agent, and they spoke every single day.
It feels kind of insensitive at the moment to discuss football really when it comes to Messi, because this is obviously so much bigger, and given their relationship, which you described so beautifully there, it's obviously going to have impacted him deeply. But are we expecting him to return and finish the season with Inter Miami, or do you think what he's intimated in that statement could actually be true?
I think right now he just doesn't want to play football, and Inter Miami has told him, come back whenever you want to. There's absolutely no rush. And I have heard and seen Leo Messi being very down to a point where he didn't want to join the national team 3 times, not just the famous one in which he announced that publicly, but in 2 other occasions. So he can get very down, and he would obviously be at a point where he doesn't understand what's going on, first of all, the shock of it, and secondly, trying to process it in a way that makes sense, and thirdly, just play. So he, as in the statement that I'm sure you read, and everybody should read if you want to understand Leo, he talks about wanting to be in the final so he could allow his dad to travel to see him, because he had been to every game, but not to this World Cup. He wasn't feeling well, and then when he returned, his dad said to him, "Oh, we lost at penalties, didn't we?" So, suggesting, and this is Leo telling this story, that his dad was already going somewhere else, and all of that. Imagine the shock if he's playing to see the eyes of his dad, if he's playing still to impress him, and if he's playing having him next to him. Why would you want to play again? But let time go, and it will be just Leo at some point when he would turn around and say, okay, yeah, I'm back, or this is it for me. So it's completely unpredictable what comes next in his life.
Yeah, and as Guillaume said then, Ashley, he needs to take as long as he can take into Miami, not putting any pressure on him at all. I know you've been on the same pitch as him. What a player. And we hope as football fans he continues, but from everything Guillaume said there, we'll understand if he can't.
Yeah, of course. Obviously it's sad times, and as a footballer, I think that you put a lot of football before everything. But me personally, as you get older, family is so important. Lionel Messi, he's always had his dad around. Like him saying there, talking every day in, day out. When you haven't got that, of course you're going to struggle, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to hit you in different ways that people can't describe. Nobody can really say what Lionel Messi is actually going through right now. Of course, for me, I've always said that in my time, in my era, he's the best player for me in the world. Of course, I'd want to see him again, but like Inter Miami is saying, take as long as you want. If you don't see him again, it's more than understandable. Like I say, it's one of the toughest time right now when a family member does pass, but when it's someone so close to you, your dad, your friend, your agent, that is always there, that you've always spoke to. It's an incredibly difficult time. So, thoughts and prayers go out to Lionel Messi and his family, and hopefully we do see him back on the pitch again.
Yeah, really well put, Ashley. John, I mean, we were privileged. You've commentated on him many, many times, I'm sure. We saw him at the World Cup this summer in tears at the final whistle, and he was obviously probably worried about his dad at that point if his dad was unable to travel out there as well. It does just show, as Ashley said, we don't always know the person and what could be going on behind what that player's doing on the pitch.
Yeah, it explains a lot, doesn't it, the statement today. And like Guillaume, when I read that, I instantly was brought back to the scenes that we saw, not just after the final, when we're in the commentary box together, Guillaume, when he was, uncontrollably in floods of tears, wasn't he, at the end of the match, but also at the end of the Egypt match as well. Remember when they came back and he was absolutely instrumental in that. He was in floods of tears at the end of that match. And I think this statement really gives us an insight into what was going on in the world of Messi. And the other thing as well, when I read the statement, I mean, it's such an emotional set of words that, he's a guy, obviously, who will have all manner of people who could write something like that. But however it was done, it really comes across as though they are very much his words, and it is a very, very personal statement.
Guillaume, I also think it says so much about his mindset that he was able to play at the World Cup as he did with all of this going on.
Just before the World Cup started, he got the news that there was nothing that could be done. And even though his father spoke to him and made him believe that there was hope that the thing continued, he could travel. After the first game in the World Cup, Messi broke down. And being the guy he is, Leo was asked about it and he said, no, it's nothing to do with football. It's to do with something personal. And people around him told him, just lie, don't say anything, don't bring more pressure to him. But Leo just couldn't handle the enormity of what he had heard. His dad hadn't been well for a while, but it just became clear, as Leo says in the statement, that when his dad was not messaging him after every game, which he's done from day one, imagine, dad not arriving, that made him realise the seriousness of it. So that's why he wanted to win it. He wanted to win it to take the cup back to him and say, look, we've won it again, but that wasn't meant to happen. I think Leo's the first one to know that in football you lose and you win, but this is much bigger than that. That's why it just sounds like, you're absolutely right, John. He's not a writer. I've spoken to him many hours to get to the bottom of the stories, and his dad was much more helpful because he's able to sit down and talk about the context of things. Leo, not so much. But there is no way this has been published without him just reading it and destroying him inside. But at the same time, he felt perhaps the obligation to the world to tell them what he's feeling right now, because this is very personal. But at the same time, he knows he needed to tell everyone, this is what my dad meant to me.
Yeah, and he put it so perfectly, didn't he? Guillaume, thank you so much, as always. We're actually now less than half an hour away from kick-off in Salzburg. A reminder, Paris Saint-Germain versus Aston Villa in the UEFA Super Cup gets underway live for you on 5 Live Sports at 8 p.m. And alongside John and Dion in the Red Bull Arena, we've got the BBC Sports senior football news reporter, Nick Masheter. Good evening, Nick. You enjoying the atmosphere there?
It is. PSG fans are making all the racket at the minute. It's a little bit quiet away to our left with the Aston Villa fans, but I'm sure that will change at some point soon.
Now, the reason we really wanted to talk to you tonight is because amidst all the subplots, all the stories coming into tonight's match, you've got a rather unique scoop on the dressing rooms. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The benefits of arriving early morning yesterday, which allows you to sort of speak to a few more people. Essentially, on Monday, the teams have a meeting with UEFA to plan, to assess what they've got. Obviously, ahead of the game, they need to work out where they're going, what they're doing. And PSG were unhappy with their dressing room. Now, they've got the away dressing room in the Red Bull Arena. Aston Villa got the home dressing room. But the home dressing room, of course, is a little bit bigger, a little bit more lavish. And PSG felt that they didn't have enough space. And as obviously reigning Super Cup champions, they wanted to have parity with Aston Villa. So they made their feelings known, I was told, to UEFA. And UEFA have accommodated them by finding them an extra dressing room, which is usually used for the referees.
Dion, are you there at the moment? Are you still there? This is bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, it is bonkers. Just get on with it. Put your kit on and get on the pitch and deal with it.
Wouldn't have happened in your day, would it?
Joe, can you imagine that? Gosh, I want a bigger dressing room, please. I've not got enough space for my boots and my shoes. Get on with it.
Cambridge United.
Cambridge United, yeah. Come and play at Cambridge United, PSG. Go on, I'll test you. I understand their point. Yes, they are the reigning champs, but you know what? A bit of an excuse for me, Nick, that.
Yeah, it does almost feel like that, Nick.
Is that the psychological battle that Villa are winning already?
Well, if you allow it to come into the dressing room, then yes, it might be. But I don't think these PSG players give a damn, really. It would have been the staff, it would have been the physios, it would have been doctors. They want more space. Players won't give a damn. They know they've got a job to do today.
So just to clarify, Nick, what does this mean for the referees?
Thankfully, there are more than one dressing rooms for referees here at the Red Bull Arena. So we can say no referees were harmed in the making of this decision. But no, thankfully it was a spare dressing room. They weren't moved. So the referees remain fairly happy, I'm sure.
Okay, all's well that ends well then. I actually wanted to talk a little bit more about the referee for tonight, because it's the Somalian referee, Omar Artan. You may remember his name because this is the same referee who was denied entry to the US for the FIFA World Cup back in June. At the time, a US official claimed that derogatory information, including association with suspected members of terror organisations, was the reason for his denial of a visa. Subsequently, though, UEFA announced that he was chosen as the official for tonight's final. John, has he been staying near you guys? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so I've seen quite a lot of him over the course of the last couple of days, and actually there were a group of Somali people outside the hotel, just there to, hoping to wish him well. And some people were inside the stadium last night as well, because the referees also have a warm-up session. And when we were in here, they were doing that late in the evening. And there was also a group of well-wishers inside the stadium there too, who had a flag. He was signing flags for them. And of course, everyone's aware of, him being in the spotlight. And when he came out tonight before the match, a couple of hours before, just to check the nets, the PSG supporters were already inside the ground. And when he came to this end to our right, they gave him a really touching ovation, which he sort of sheepishly acknowledged in the end.
You use the word sheepish there. We're told referees don't like the spotlight. A good referee is one that isn't really noticed. So this probably isn't ideal prep for him, though, is it?
But yeah, there's a very interesting article actually in the official match programme tonight, which is published by UEFA, and they claim in there that they had already made the decision to appoint him to this match at the end of April, before what happened at the World Cup. And they said that he was told in June, just after he was refused entry to the United States. So they claim that this was always the plan. It tells us, this article, that his father died when he was very young. He was brought up apart from his mother. He started refereeing at school. He ended up refereeing in the Somali League, became the first Somali to officiate at the Africa Cup of Nations in 2024, the first Somali to referee the African Champions League final. In 2025, named the African Men's Referee of the Year. This will be his first match in Europe. There is a big Somali community here in Austria, hence the support that he's got. And he's not been kicking his heels either since the World Cup, because he took charge of the match that decided the Kuwaiti Premier League in June. So, they are his credentials. But you're right, Kelly, any referee, really, any good referee will want to be unnoticed from the point that the whistle goes.
All of that said, though, and you listed some of his achievements, some of the matches that he's refereed there, he is there on merit, isn't he? He was picked for the World Cup initially, and he's picked for tonight because he is a top referee.
That's right, and I think the reception that he's received here in the city and also in the stadium, I think will make him feel more comfortable than he might have otherwise.
Yeah, and hopefully after tonight he can kind of forget all about the summer. Okay, then let's cross over to Birmingham and the European Athletics Championship now, because we've spoken to Alison Kirbishley and we've spoken to Alistair Bruce Ball, but only about the sun and the eclipse. It's time to talk about athletics, guys, because there's really good races coming up tonight. Let's start with the 100-metre gold medalist Amy Hunt. She's in action in the 200-metre semis. Is that in just under an hour's time, I think, if my timings are right?
Yeah, so the women's semi-finals in the 200 metres start at 8:20, Kelly. Amy Hunt, fresh from the gold medal Monday night to get it all going for Great Britain. Her first major individual gold medal at the major championships, comes into it in sparkling form. Dina Asher-Smith missed out on the medals in the 100 metres, but has had success before in this event as well, in the European Championships previously. And Success Edouan is another name not to be discounted, another really promising young British runner. Semi-finals, looking to qualify for the final, but that will be some really good racing. So that comes at 20 past 8. So what's that? That's in about half an hour's time or so, isn't it? Just a little bit more.
And what about the big finals that we've got ahead of us as well? I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on the men's 400-metre final.
Yeah, huge opportunity with both finals tonight. But I think certainly the crowd and everyone here has come to see the man whose name is adorned on the top bend, the Matt Hudson-Smith stand, the temporary stand that's been put up for these championships, bears his name. This is the track that he first started his athletics and his love of athletics, started his career here. He's a Wolverhampton lad, and he's coming here with huge expectation on his shoulders. European #1, he's won the title twice before. This has been an event, the 400 metres, that we've had a happy hunting ground in Great Britain. 13 times we've won this title. So tonight the expectation are on his shoulders, and then not long after that we've got Emily Newnham and Lena Nielsen going in the 400 hurdles. There is an out-and-out favourite in Zapletalova, easy for me to say, very much an out-and-out favourite, but a chance of some minor medals.
We really hope, Kelly, the timings tonight are going to work in our favour, because the sort of showpiece, the Matt Hudson-Smith race, the men's 400 metres final, is bang on half-time in the football if everything goes to plan, if there's not too much added time, because it's 10-9 here. And I was just thinking about this story. We told this story all week. If you imagine a little boy at 10 years old being brought to this track to pick up the sport of athletics by his mum, and 21 years later running for gold in the European Championships, in between having trained on this track, grown up around here, competed for his club here, run for Great Britain here, and now running tonight, 21 years later, as he comes into the top bend in the home straight, runs past the stand with his name on. If he does manage to do it and go on to win gold, that is going to be something really, really special, I think.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And like Ali said, hopefully, all being well, it's scheduled perfectly. So we will have live commentary of Matthew Hudson-Smith at half-time. We've also got the women's 400-metre hurdles final to look forward to. And just before we go to the cricket, Alison, is there a chance of some medals in that one?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've got two of them going. Lena Nielsen, who ran her personal best in the semi-final, and the last time she did that was at the European Championships 4 years ago. So the European Championships has a happy hunting ground for her, and then obviously Emily Newnham, coming off a silver medal at the Commonwealth Games, has got a huge opportunity to get onto the podium. So I think that the buzz of the stadium, if we can almost write the script after Matt Hudson-Smith brings it home in gold medal position, and then 20 minutes later, this place will be bouncing. So the girls will hopefully be able to feed off that.
Brilliant. We'll be back with the guys very shortly. We're going to head across Birmingham now to Edgbaston. Birmingham Phoenix will need 158 to beat MI London. Alison Mitchell is there.
Yeah, MI London chasing a place in the eliminator here, the semi-final if you like. So with their total of 157 for 6 in their 100 balls, they first need the win to get the 4 points they need to chase that eliminator spot. But crucially, they need to bowl Birmingham Phoenix out for 98 to go above Sunrise's lead and steal the eliminator spot from them. So they've scrambled up to that 157. Tom Curran with a bit of a cameo at the end. But now it's over to their bowlers, and that crucial marker, they've got to win and they've got to bowl Phoenix out for 98 if they're to get that final eliminator spot.
Thank you very much, Alison. I think they're trying to re-inject some atmosphere back into the stadium there at Edgbaston, because it's incredibly loud, isn't it? Let's head back to Salzburg now. I don't think we're going to need any atmosphere injected to the stadium there, because of course it is Aston Villa taking on PSG in the Super Cup. Kick-off in just over 10 minutes time, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about what this season could hold for the club. In fact, John Murray's been speaking to Captain John McGinn about just that.
John, what would you say about the expectations that Villa fans will have this season? Where should it lie?
Similar to where it's been in the past few seasons. I think we've consistently competed with the best in England. I think we've consistently competed with the best in Europe, no matter what the competition is. It will have our challenges. There's a lot of change, but when you look at other clubs around England, there's a lot of change there as well. A lot of coaches changing, a lot of players changing. But what we have still is our main core. Same manager, same methods, same desire to achieve more. So a lot of people thought we had reached our ceiling a couple of seasons ago, and we proved them wrong. We've still got the same hunger and desire to go and achieve more. And as long as we've got the hunger and desire to do that, the Aston Villa fans can expect as much as possible.
If anyone knows a thing or two about proving people wrong, it is certainly John McGinn. What a career he's had at Aston Villa. The atmosphere, I keep talking about it there, John. It sounds brilliant, and I'm told the Tifos are out now as well.
Yeah, they've got the Tifos out. They love these in Paris in the Parc des Princes, and it's a sort of smaller version here in a smaller stadium. But the PSG fans have got the red, white, and blue flags in the top tier to our right, and then they've unfurled a series of streamers from the middle tier down to the bottom, which actually in big white letters on the red, white, and blue background, just simply the word Paris. Villa at their end, the 6,000 have gone even more simply. It's just 2 lines of claret and blue flags. Claret, blue, claret, blue, claret, blue, and claret in their end, all being waved furiously.
Sometimes simplicity is key. Ashley, a word on the man we just heard from then, John McGinn. I love interviewing him as a reporter. I love watching the way he plays. He leaves nothing on the pitch, does he? What a teammate, I imagine, and what an opponent to play against.
Yeah, do you know, I haven't got the words to actually describe what Gilly's actually like. He's just a fantastic person, you know, on the pitch, off the pitch. He's a winner. He hates losing in training. He hated it when I beat him in training and used to tell him about it.
Did that happen a lot?
Yeah, of course it did. I spoke to him a couple of days ago. I spoke to him when he was at the World Cup, just wishing him well. And like you say, he's just one of them players that I call Mr. Aston Villa. You know, he does everything he can for the team. He's a fantastic captain. You know, he's a fantastic player as well. And I think that you just heard him say there that what they've been achieving in the last few seasons it is exactly what Unai wanted the team and the club to achieve. You know, winning another Europa League at Unai it's just his competition. It's the way he does it. Getting the team into Champions League as well. It's where I believe the club should be. Playing the big competitions, and Champions League is there. I've been fortunate enough to, you know, do games where they've played actually PSG in Champions League, and you know, it's some atmosphere at Villa Park. The fans are fantastic. I'm sure the fans out there in Salzburg will be going crazy. I was lucky enough to be out in Istanbul as well, so you know, I know how much they love the team, how much they want the team to win. And Guinea, like I say, he's just a natural leader, a natural born winner who will do everything for that club, for that team.
He is a constant, Dion, and he's been at the club for so long, and he keeps, as I said before, proving people wrong. Mr. Aston Villa, Ashley just said then, but it has been another busy summer around him, hasn't it, in terms of the transfer activity. Unai Emery's had to be really smart once again. They've had to do some interesting recruitment, some big players coming in, but some big players leaving too.
Yeah, and you know, Ash knows him better than I do. I've seen him play so many times. I've been at Villa Park. I've seen him win games for Villa. I've seen him drag the team from behind to do something, whether it's a shout, whether it's a tackle, whether it's a goal. What I like about John McGinn, and Ash will tell me if I'm right here, he doesn't want any excuses. Don't give me any excuses. We're playing for Aston Villa. Do you know how lucky you are? That's the attitude he gives off. Enjoy it. You know, make it worth it. Earn it. And I don't know if I'm right, Ash, but he just comes across as a very, very honest player that you just want to play alongside.
He definitely is, and you know, like I said, I had the privilege to be able to play alongside him. And you know, like I say, I'm one of them people that gives 100% all the time. I just want to work hard, and Guinea's exactly the same way. He wants to work hard on the training pitch, and then when he's off it, he likes to laugh and joke about. And I'm sure, Kelly, when you've interviewed him, you get some definite jokes out of him.
I'm pretty sure we've had to edit out some of the stories as well.
Can I just jump in quickly, Kelly? Because the Villa fans they've replied. They've replied with the sort of streamer banner that PSG have unveiled.
Go on, John,
He
talk
says
us through
Paris. It says it's got 5 lions, faces of male lions, the big manes with the teeth sticking out, and it says, "Unleash the lions." They're ready for it as well. The players are ready for the scrap, and so are the fans. I
think they're bursting through the gates of Villa Park, aren't they, there? On either side of them as well.
Yeah, just over 5 minutes to go until kick-off in Salzburg. Ashley, before we do hand over to John and Dion for commentary, I mentioned a busy summer of recruitment, ins and outs. Of course, they've lost Morgan Rogers. We don't have time to go through them all right now, but I just wondered your thoughts on them losing Yuri Tielemans to Manchester United. Of course, that's a very similar move, one that you know quite a lot about.
Yeah, of course it is. And I love Yuri Tielemans. I think he's the glue in the team, the middle of the park. Especially the way that Unai wants to play. He wants to play from the centre backs to the centre midfielders, who then in turn find the number 10s, the forwards. And you see the relationship that Tielemans had with Morgan Rogers, with Ollie Watkins. It was fantastic to see. And I'm delighted that he's got the move to Manchester United, another one of my clubs, and the move that I made. So I think it's a fantastic bit of business that Manchester United have done, and I'm sure he's going to go there and do well. But for Villa, I think they obviously bringing in João Gomez is a fantastic player, and he's not had to move home, and he's from around the area, from Wolverhampton, who's a good player. Do I think he's at Yuri Tielemans' level? I don't think so, not quite right now. But with the PSR rules and financial implications, I think that at times Unai Emery's hands are quite tired. So he's had to do the best business that he possibly can. And you've seen again that he's had to sell the Morgan Rogers. He's had to sell Yuri Tielemans, two of the key players of last season. So it's going to be disappointing for him. But there's always time to buy more players in if he needs to, if that's going to be a possibility. But I'm sure he's got his way of wanting to play. He's not going to change his style, and he's going to go out this competition today to win it. And then what he's going to be looking at is the season, and wanting to go out there and attack the season as best as he can. And I'm sure that if he can get any more players in, then he will.
But Yuri Tielemans is in the past for Aston Villa. It's now about the opportunity to lift another piece of silverware. Their reward for winning that Europa League final back in May is to face the European Champions League champions PSG in the Super Cup. So let's get you over to Salzburg for commentary of what sounds like it's going to be an electric atmosphere. PSG versus Aston Villa in the company of Dion Dublin and John Murray.
Yes, thank you very much, Kelly. Welcome everyone to Austria. Here to Salzburg, the beautiful city at the foot of the Alps at the moment. The teams are led out by the Somali referee Omar Artan, denied entry to the United States for the World Cup, but in charge of the UEFA Super Cup. And behind them, well, they've brought their trophies with them, Dion. The match between the Champions League winners and the Europa League winners as they left the tunnel. Marquinhos at the top of the line for PSG, and John McGinn at the top of the line for Aston Villa. Marquinhos reached to his right, plucked the Champions League trophy off a plinth, walked out with that, and John McGinn got that heavy UEFA Cup trophy, the Europa League trophy, off its plinth and walked out. And they've placed them at either end of the blue carpet that reads UEFA Super Cup, and in the middle of the trophy that they're playing for tonight, the UEFA Super Cup itself, the 51st time that it's been contested, and the players lining up shoulder to shoulder, ready for the start of the action.
Yeah, and no smiles, no laughing, no joking. It's game time. Both sets of players just walking out with stern faces. They're just doing the hand slaps or the handshakes, whatever you want to call it. PSG walking towards the officials and then slapping all the Villa players' hands, and then Villa doing that now. We'll have the photographs and then it will be game time, John.
Yeah, I wonder how the big number 39, Brian Maggio, is feeling. He is a giant. And first time I've seen him live, he scored 4 goals in the matches pre-season, just 17 years old, 18 in January. And there's no Ollie Watkins, and Tammy Abraham's on the bench. You can't take your eyes off him, Dion, the big centre-forward.
No, he's a big lad. He seems to be the tallest in that picture on the back row, bang in the middle. He just seems to walk with a confidence and a presence. Number 39 on his back. He's got to enjoy this. You can go either way, John, with this. As a young player, you can go overboard by the occasion, or you can just take it in your stride and think, what have I got to lose? I'm 17, I'm going to enjoy it. I hope it's that one.
Yeah, huge calf muscles, huge biceps, big shoulders, shaggy hair. And he's just going around the rest of his Villa teammates now. Lindelof coming over, I would imagine, with a word of experience.
Yeah, that was nearly me then, until you got to the shaggy hair, John.
So the rest of the team news. Villa, well, they make 6 changes from the team that started in the Europa League final against Freiburg. There is no Johan Manzambi tonight, the record signing. He's not fit yet. No Garnacho either this evening. I know he did have a head injury, but he's not involved at all. So that means George Hemmings is starting this match as well. Another teenager, the 19-year-old. So the Villa team, Bizot in goal with Martin.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to...
Take a throw in the left-back position, Villa playing from left to right. The throw is hurled over the head of the 6'4", 17-year-old Brian Maggio, the former Mets player who joined Villa in January, and this is his Aston Villa debut tonight. What a moment for him. Nuno Mendes in the left-back position for PSG, and it looks as though, Andy, is Buendia starting alongside Maggio, or is he in the 10?
No, it certainly does. I mean, I think when they start creeping up the field, Emi Buendia will drop that a little bit deeper, but at the moment that's a very regular 4-4-2 look about Aston Villa without the ball.
Shape that they are familiar with, of course, under Unai Emery, and it's remarkable when you think of the lowly position that Aston Villa were in when he took charge, 14th in the Premier League in October 2022, and look at Aston Villa now, European regulars and a European trophy in the cabinet. Vitinha for PSG, sweeping ball out to the right, and Achraf Hakimi, who, as we know, the captain, he almost plays like the Morocco national team captain. He almost plays like a winger, really, for club and country, as the ball is rolled out of play, and it's an Aston Villa throw 10 yards over the halfway line.
Yeah, the opening 90 seconds of the game, PSG have had the ball pretty much to themselves. Now Villa get a chance to just keep it for a bit and get everyone involved.
Luis Enrique out of the technical area already in a white t-shirt, obsessive about details. Luis Enrique obsessive about improving, even though PSG can barely improve on what they've produced over the last couple of years. This season they could win 6 trophies, which would be a European record. Foul on young George Hemmings midway inside the PSG half, and Villa get another free kick. It's 0-0.
Yeah, George Hemmings operating on the left side of that midfield quartet. Moran Zaire Emery there just upending him. Villa free kick about 40-odd yards out on the left-hand side. Emi Buendia just popping that ball down. And of course Villa do have, along with Brian Maggio and others, a threat from a good delivery.
Free kick at the PSG end of the ground. It's whipped in high by Buendia. Up goes Maggio, headed away. Out only as far as the midway point of the PSG half, and the ball is shuffled wide to John McGinn, who whips in a good cross, headed away by Willian Pacho at the heart of the PSG back line.
Yeah, great ball in, John McGinn. Nice run from Cash to run outside him, which allowed McGinn then off the right side to step in on his left foot. Flighted a beautiful cross in. William Pacho it is that gets his head to it.
A lot of energy, a lot of zip about the game in the early stages. I suppose it is a pre-season encounter, if you like, but it is seen by UEFA as a major trophy, and there's no doubt that both teams are going for it early on. Maatsen for Villa, driving into the area. His pullback is deflected behind, and that's an Aston Villa corner.
Great play. Ian Maatsen there, just skipping past a couple of PSG players, getting to the dead ball line, but couldn't stand the cross up and find anyone.
Well, a positive start for Villa against the Champions League holders, no doubt about that. The team who won the Europa League last season have the corner on the far side of the field. Plenty forward in the light blue shirts. Whipped in by Buendia, headed away by Marquinhos from the edge of the 6-yard box. The ball will bounce down to Matty Cash. Cash darts back into his own territory when faced up by Akliouche, the new signing at PSG. And back it goes to Marco Bizet, the Dutchman, in bright yellow, away to our left-hand side. He'll roll the ball out short to the feet of Villa's new number 8, Kamara, for the season. Almost feels like a new signing, Boubacar Kamara. Such has been his length of absence through injury. And now the ball is on the halfway line with McGinn, ever tenacious and not able to elude Vitinha on that occasion. PSG have it back 0-0 the score. Breaking in between the lines is Akliouche. He'll work it wide to the far side the right. Doué with the red boots on is dispossessed by Martin. Andy Townsend.
Yeah, really good challenge.
And then Doué hacks him down in response. And Martin caught there by that lunging challenge right in front of the referee. It's an Aston Villa free kick.
Yeah, and in those areas of the field with Doué, Kvaratskhelia, you know, they've got so much natural pace. Akliouche, of course, as well, that you've really got to focus on that ball. You've got to time those challenges to perfection if you're going to deny PSG. Ian Maatsen did that really well.
This is the Super Cup live on TalkSport. PSG 0, Aston Villa 0. 5 minutes have been played. And the live football returns at a pace. We've got every angle covered for you across all competitions, as you'd expect. The return of the EFL this weekend, starting off with Wolves against Blackburn on Friday night, and then 6 more commentaries over the course of the weekend. And then the weekend after, the Premier League is back, and as always, TalkSport is the place to be. We were not without live football for too long after the World Cup. Unai Emery watching on from the near side touchline. Dark t-shirt and dark trousers as Bizet goes long over the head of young Madjo, and Hakimi with a little cushion back header to Safanov, who remains PSG's number 1 coming into this season.
You could just see there, Aston Villa, when Marco Bizot had the ball at his feet, everybody around him looking like they're going to get the ball short. With someone like Madjo now, you can see the goalkeeper transfer that 60-odd yards there, Joe, straight up to Brian Madjo, because that will be a very useful way for Villa to just mix things up a little bit by going long to him.
Well, a rather ungainly pass from Desiree Doué, the ball ballooning off his right foot, loops out of play, and it's an Aston Villa throw in the left-back position on that far side of the field. Now they work it up to the halfway line, where it's gone out of play again, despite the touch from Achraf Hakimi. And I think it'll be another throw to Aston Villa, again just shy of halfway. In fact, the referee's changed his decision, and it's a PSG throw instead. Back they go to Marquinhos, wearing the captain's armband, one of the most decorated players in the world. Marquinhos, 27 major trophies now, as PSG try to play the ball up to the attacking third, but it's given away to Cash, who'll roll it back to Bizet. Bizet hacks the ball clear, left-footed, high up into the air, over the head of Hemmings. Atjo tried that hustle and bustle, but he can't get beyond Warren Zaire-Emery, who has carried the ball out of play. And the referee has stopped the game. PSG 0, Aston Villa 0, but Unai Emery, I think, will be pleased with this start.
I think he'll be very pleased. It's a competitive game. Don't forget, the bigger picture here is that, I mean, tonight there's a trophy on offer. Of course you'll want to win it. But the bigger picture is getting everyone through it and getting a little bit closer to match tempo.
Kamara nearly finding Hemmings with that slide rule pass down the middle. The 19-year-old stretched to try and reach in on his 5th senior appearance, but it is all the way through to the big goalkeeper Safanov. PSG have possession again with Willian Pacho, with a bit of strapping on his lower left arm. Now Marquinhos out to the right-hand side, and Doué, who's dropped into the right-back position, floats the ball backwards into the path of Pacho again. PSG in the red and dark blue, playing from right to left. Kvaratskhelia with his socks rolled halfway down his shins, as is his customary way. Pacho to Nuno Mendes, who scored the winning penalty in the Super Cup last season against Spurs, albeit missed his kick in the shootout against Arsenal in in the Champions League at the end of May.
Yeah, early on as well in this game, Joe, we're seeing that aggressive position that Hakimi and Nuno Mendes take up, both fullbacks high up the field.
And here is Hakimi raiding into the penalty area now, tries to pull back, missed his kick. Kvaratskhelia reaches the loose ball down by the dead ball line, and Villa with Pau Torres doing just enough to deal with it. Doué tries to bend it into the penalty area with the outside of his foot. It's flicked on by Nuno Mendes, gets it back out wide on the near side, the left, floats in the cross, and that is too close to Marco Bizet.
Yeah, there was a good example of Hakimi.
Right on cue.
Hakimi is like a flying right winger, isn't he? I mean, you know, fullbacks usually, before they run forward, they make sure that everything's sorted out at the back. This guy just head down, just blasts forward, up and down for 90 minutes solid. And on the other side, Nuno Mendes is very similar, so they're really aggressive in those positions, and Villa have to get that, defending those guys right.
One of the great fullbacks of his generation, Hakimi, and they used to talk about Cafu in terms of being like an express train up and down the touchline, and Hakimi plays in such
bracket.
a similar way.
Yes, he does.
Here is Nuno Mendes on the halfway line, but Villa have dealt well with what PSG have thrown at them so far. Yet to see a major chance in the game 10 minutes in. A couple of step-overs from the enigmatic Doué as he drives infield from the right. Back to the number 87, João Neves, who'll scoop the ball out wide to the far side of the field, and now an opportunity for Akliouche to roll it back towards the halfway line, and now the ball is picked up by Vitinha, who blazes over the top from all of 35 yards.
Yeah, decided to take the shot. It's unlike him actually, Vitinha, because usually he's metronomic way, just keeps the ball moving and keeps it ticking over. But there he just decided to chance his arm, and unfortunately got underneath it and skied it a wee bit.
Former Wolves loanee Vitinha, easy to forget that, although it does go back several seasons now. Villa take the goal kick short, and here is Pau Torres, the right-sided centre-half. Low ball threaded along the near-side touchline, well controlled by McGinn, back to the halfway line, but he's lost possession now. João Neves has fed Kvaratskhelia, left corner of the penalty area. McGinn comes steaming in to win it back at quite a pace, and does so industriously.
Yeah, good challenge that, John McGinn.
Now forward by Cash, down the inside right channel. Macho with a chance to try and bully his way beyond William Pacho, and he wins Aston Villa a throw. There is no fear in this 17-year-old.
I mean, William Pacho is an imposing central defender, and Brian Macho dwarfs him when he picks the ball up there and goes shoulder to shoulder.
Nuno Mendes makes a good interception in front of McGinn, down by the corner flag on the near side, and McGinn with a wry smile shoving the back on Nuno Mendes right in front of the assistant referee, who couldn't have been any closer. McGinn is now trying to re-spot the ball, not once but twice. Feels that it was being taken from a yard or so further forward from where it should have been, and he's making that point clear to the referee now.
He is actually right. I think the linesman there could have done a little bit more, and just because he's literally a yard away from that, and it was actually being taken from the wrong position.
Nonetheless, PSG give it away. Kamara, 35 yards out, invited forward, and he shoots low, only just wide of the right-hand post. Boubacar Kamara making his first competitive appearance since January after injury. Seemingly opened up for him right through the middle. He hit it low, he hit it true, but 2 or 3 yards wide of goal in the air.
Yeah, he had his head up actually there, Camera, looking to maybe drop it off to somebody else, but nobody came near him. He just stepped forward, and in the end he thought, why not? Hits it quite well, but it was always a couple of yards wide. But it's been a good start, Villa. What they're not doing, they're not dropping away. I mentioned that to Adrian before the game, Joe, about you drop off the game against PSG, they can sort of smother you, and they have players coming at you from all angles. You've got to be brave enough to go and squeeze them higher up the field, and Villa have done that quite well.
That's the voice of Andy Townsend with us tonight for commentary. Hemmings now driving into the PSG half, midway points of opposition territory. He has to check back away from Zaire Emery and Hakimi, but he's kept it well. Then Buendia trying to return pass, takes a big ricochet off the shins of Pacho and rebounds out of play for an Aston Villa throw.